Well, hey there. Come on in. Yeah, pull up that chair right there. Today I want to teach you something important. How to tie a necktie properly. The Windsor knot. The way a man should know how to present himself. But more than that, I want to tell you a story. A story about 1968. About a suit I couldn't afford. About a man who gave me a gift I could never repay. And about how one act of kindness can change the entire direction of a life. This isn't just about tying a tie, son. This is about dignity, about how we treat each other across our differences, and about how generosity creates ripples that last for generations. Hand me that tie right there, the blue one. Now watch carefully. You start with the wide end on your right, hanging down about 12 inches lower than the narrow end. Cross the wide end over the narrow end, like this. Then bring it up through the loop around your neck from underneath. Now pull it back down and wrap it around the narrow end from right to left. See how that creates the knot? I'll show you the whole thing in a minute. But first, let me tell you why this matters. Let me tell you about August 1968 and about Mr. Samuel Cohen. I was 27 years old in the summer of 1968. I'd been working at the Southeastern manufacturing plant for 3 years, doing good work, keeping my head down, showing up every day on time. It was hard physical labor, loading trucks, operating forklifts, moving heavy materials all day in the Georgia heat. The pay was decent for a black man at that time, enough to support your grandma and our 2 little boys, enough to pay rent on our small apartment and put food on the table. We weren't prospering, but we were surviving. And in 1968, that was something to be grateful for. That July, my supervisor, Mr. Patterson, called me into his office. He said, "Charles, you've been doing good work, real good work. There's an office position opening up, inventory management clerk. Inside work, better pay, opportunity for advancement. I think you should apply for it." I was shocked. A black man moving from the warehouse floor to an office job in 1968 in Atlanta? That almost never happened. But Mr. Patterson said the company was under pressure to integrate their office staff, and I was the most qualified candidate from the warehouse. He said, "You'll have to interview with the regional manager. It's a formality, but you need to come prepared. You need to look professional. You need to look like you belong in that office." I went home that night and told your grandma the news. She was so excited, so proud. This could change our lives. Better pay, better opportunities, a chance to move up instead of just surviving. But then, reality set in. The interview was scheduled for August 15th, 3 weeks away, and I needed a suit. Not church clothes or casual pants. A professional suit, white shirt, proper tie, dress shoes. I needed to look like the kind of man who belonged in an office, who could sit at a desk and manage inventory and represent the company. We went through our finances that night. After rent, food, utilities, your daddy's and uncle's needs, we had maybe $40 left for the month. A decent suit at that time cost at least $75, probably more like $100 for something quality. Shoes would be another $25. A shirt and tie, another $15. We were looking at needing over $100 that we simply didn't have. We'd been trying to save, but something always came up. A medical bill, car repairs, something. We had no savings to pull from. Your grandma said, "We'll figure it out. We'll find a way. This opportunity is too important." Over the next week, she took in extra laundry and ironing from neighbors. I worked overtime every shift they'd let me. We scraped together another $30. We now had $70. Still not enough for everything I needed, but enough for a suit if we could find one on sale. We decided to go shopping that Saturday, 2 weeks before the interview. We went to 3 stores that Saturday morning. The first store, soon as I walked in and said I was looking for a suit, the salesman looked me up and down and said, "Our suits start at $120. The way he said it, the way he looked at me, I knew what he meant. "You can't afford to be in here. We left. The second store, they had a sale section. Found a suit for $75, but when I tried it on, it fit terribly. Shoulders too wide, pants too short. Looked cheap even to my untrained eye. Your grandma shook her head. You can't wear that to this interview. You'll look like you're wearing someone else's clothes. The third store didn't even have anything in our price range. We walked out of that third store and I felt defeated. I stood on the sidewalk and I said to your grandma, maybe this interview isn't meant to be. Maybe I should just tell Mr. Patterson I can't do it. She grabbed my arm and said, don't you dare give up. We've got 2 weeks. We'll find something. But I could hear in her voice that she was worried too. We didn't know where else to look. As we were walking back to where we parked our car, we passed a small tailor shop I'd never noticed before. Cohen's Tailoring, the sign said. The window display had a few suits on mannequins, alterations and custom tailoring advertised. On impulse, I said, let me just ask how much it would cost to have a suit made. Your grandma said, Charles, custom tailoring is expensive. We can't afford that. But I went in anyway, just to see, just to ask. A bell chimed when we opened the door. The shop was small, neat, smelled like fabric and starch. Behind the counter stood an older white man, maybe 65, 70 years old, wearing a measuring tape around his neck and reading glasses on a chain. He looked up when we entered and smiled. A real smile, genuine, welcoming. He said, good morning. How can I help you folks today? I said, sir, I'm just inquiring about the cost of having a suit made. I have a job interview coming up, and I need something professional, but I want to know the price before we talk further. I was trying to be straightforward, not waste his time or mine. He came around the counter and said, a suit for a job interview. That's important. What kind of work? I told him about the inventory clerk position, about working in the warehouse for 3 years, about this being a real opportunity. He listened, nodding, and then he said, let me take your measurements, and we'll talk about what you need. He measured my shoulders, my chest, my arms, my inseam, writing numbers down on a pad. He asked questions about the interview. Where? What kind of office? What would I be doing? He pulled out fabric samples, showed me different weights and colors. He said, for an office interview, you want something conservative, navy blue or charcoal gray. This wool blend here is good quality, professional, not too heavy for Georgia summers. He was treating me like a real customer, like someone who mattered. In 1968, that alone was unusual. After about 20 minutes of measuring and discussing, I finally asked, sir, how much would this cost? He looked at his notes, did some calculating, and said for the fabric, the construction, to get the fit perfect, normally I'd charge $150 for a custom suit. My heart sank. I'd already known it was out of reach, but hearing the number made it real. I said, thank you for your time, sir. That's more than I can afford right now. I appreciate you measuring me anyway. I started to leave. Your grandma was already at the door, but Mr. Cohen said, wait, hold on a moment. When is this interview? I said, August 15th, 2 weeks from yesterday. He thought for a moment, then said, what can you afford to pay? I was embarrassed to say, but I answered honestly, I have $70, sir, but I understand that's not enough for what you'd be making. He nodded slowly, looking at me, at your grandma, thinking. Then he said something I'll never forget. He said, I'll make you the suit for $70. Custom made, proper fit, quality fabric. I'll have it ready a week before your interview so we can do a final fitting. I was stunned. I said, sir, you said it costs $150. I can't let you. He held up his hand. Young man, let me tell you something. I came to this country in 1938 from Poland with nothing. Nothing but clothes on my back and my tailoring skills. I was running from people who wanted to kill me and my family because of who we were, because of our religion, because we were different. When I got to New York, I didn't speak English. I didn't know anyone. I had no money. And a man, a black man actually, gave me work in his garment factory, taught me English, helped me get established. He didn't have to do that. He could have turned me away like so many others did. But he saw me as a human being who needed help, and he helped me. He continued, "I see you now, trying to better yourself, trying to move up, trying to provide for your family. I see a man who deserves a chance, and I can help you. This suit, this is what I can do. This is my gift to you. You take this opportunity, and you make the most of it. That's payment enough for me." I didn't know what to say. Your grandma had tears in her eyes. I managed to say, "Mr. Cohen, I don't know how to thank you." He smiled and said, "You thank me by getting that job. And someday, when you can, you help someone else who needs it." That's how kindness works. It gets passed forward. I gave him the $70, everything we had saved. He wrote me a receipt and said, "Come back next Saturday for your first fitting." As we were leaving, he called out, "And young man, you're going to get this job. I can tell. You carry yourself right. The suit will just help them see what I already see." That next week was the longest week of my life. I kept thinking about Mr. Cohen, about what he'd said, about the kindness he was showing me. A Jewish man who'd survived the Holocaust, helping a black man in the segregated South. We'd both known what it was like to be hated for who we were, to be denied opportunities, to be seen as less than human. And here we were, connecting across that difference, helping each other. The following Saturday, I went back for the fitting. He had the suit partially constructed, and he had me try on the jacket. The fit was perfect. Shoulders exactly right, sleeves the correct length, the way it draped on my body. He pinned a few small adjustments, nodded in satisfaction. "This is going to be a beautiful suit," he said. "You're going to look like you own that office." He showed me a white dress shirt he'd included. He said every suit needs the right shirt. And a tie, a simple tie that complemented the gray suit perfectly. "No extra charge," he said when I tried to protest. "A suit needs a shirt and tie. You can't go to an interview without them." The next Saturday, August 10th, 5 days before my interview, I went back for the final pickup. Mr. Cohen had the suit hanging on a rack, fully completed, pressed, perfect. He had me try it on one more time. I stood in front of the mirror, and I almost didn't recognize myself. I looked professional. I looked like I belonged in an office. The suit fit like it was part of me, like it had been made exactly for my body, which of course it had been. Mr. Cohen stood back, arms crossed, smiling with pride at his work. "What did I tell you?" he said. "You look like a man who's going places." He taught me how to tie the Windsor knot, the same knot I'm about to teach you now. He said, "The way a man ties his tie says something about him. This knot is symmetrical. It's substantial. It looks professional. This is the knot for job interviews, for important meetings, for when you want to show you take things seriously." He demonstrated slowly, step by step, then had me do it until I got it right. "Practice this every day until the interview," he said. "You should be able to tie it without thinking, smooth and confident." He also taught me how to care for the suit, how to hang it properly so it kept its shape, how to brush it after wearing to remove dust and keep the fabric fresh, when to have it dry cleaned, how to press the pants with a crease. "This suit is an investment," he said. "You take care of it, it will take care of you for years. Quality doesn't wear out if you treat it right." I tried again to thank him, to express what this meant to me and my family. He just shook his head and said, "You already thanked me by being the kind of man worth helping. Now go get that job." As I was leaving with the suit carefully wrapped, he said one more thing. "Charles, the suit doesn't make the man. You already are the man. The suit just helps them see it." August 15th, 1968. Interview day. I put on that suit, that shirt, that tie. I tied the Windsor knot the way Mr. Cohen had taught me. I looked at myself in the mirror, and I stood up straighter. I felt different, not because I was pretending to be someone I wasn't, but because I felt dignified, respected, ready. Your grandma adjusted my tie, kissed me, and said, "Go show them who you are." The interview was at 10 a.m. I arrived 15 minutes early, sat in the waiting room with 3 other candidates, all white men, all in suits. But I didn't feel out of place. I felt like I belonged there. When they called my name, I walked into that office with confidence. The regional manager, Mr. Thornton, was a middle-aged white man, formal, serious. He looked at my resume, asked me questions about my work history, my experience, why I wanted this position. I answered clearly, professionally, calmly. I could tell he was impressed, not just by my answers, but by how I presented myself. Near the end of the interview, he said, "Charles, I have to be honest with you. We're under pressure to integrate our office staff. That's part of why we're considering warehouse employees for this position. But I don't want to hire someone just because of their race. I want to hire someone who can actually do this job well. Based on this interview, based on your work history, I believe you can. The job is yours if you want it." I got the job. I started the following Monday. Better pay, 30% more than I'd been making in the warehouse. Inside work, air conditioning, a desk, responsibilities that use my mind instead of just my back. It changed our lives. Within 2 years, I'd been promoted to inventory manager. Within 5 years, I was supervising a department. That job was the foundation for everything that came after. Buying our first house, sending our kids to college, building a stable life. And I wore that suit Mr. Cohen made me for 15 years. 15 years. I took care of the way he'd taught me, and it lasted. I wore it to every important occasion, promotions, meetings, your daddy's high school graduation, church on Easter. Every time I put on that suit, I thought about Mr. Cohen and what he'd done for me. About 5 years after he made me that suit, I went back to his shop. Business was going well for me, and I wanted to pay him the difference, the $80 between what I paid and what the suit had actually been worth. When I walked in, he recognized me immediately. "Charles, how are you? Did you get the job?" I told him everything, how I'd gotten the position, how I'd been promoted, how that suit had been with me through all of it. I tried to give him the $80, he refused. "I didn't do it for money," he said. "I did it because it was right, because someone once did something right for me. You keep that money, use it to help someone else someday." But he did let me order another suit. This time I could afford to pay full price. And over the years, I sent other young men from our neighborhood to Mr. Cohen when they needed suits for job interviews and didn't have much money. I'd call ahead, explain the situation, and Mr. Cohen would take care of them, charging what they could afford, never turning anyone away. He did that until he retired in 1985, closed his shop at age 82. I went to say goodbye when he closed the shop. He was packing up his measuring tapes, his fabric samples, all his tools. I said, "Mr. Cohen, do you have any idea how many lives you changed? How many men you helped?" He smiled and said, "I only know about the ones I met, but if they pass the kindness forward like I asked them to, then maybe a lot of lives." That's how it works, Charles. One person helps another, who helps another, who helps another. Build a better world, not through big dramatic gestures, but through small acts of kindness, one person at a time. Mr. Cohen died in 1992. I went to his funeral. There must have been 200 people there. And as I listened to person after person tell stories about how Samuel Cohen had helped them, had shown them kindness, had gone out of his way to give them a chance, I realized I was just one of many. He'd been doing this his whole life, seeing people who needed help and helping them, quietly, without asking for recognition or repayment, just helping because he could, because he'd once needed help himself, because he understood what it meant to be an outsider who needed someone to see your humanity. Now let me teach you this Windsor knot properly. Pay attention. Start with the wide end on your right, hanging down longer than the narrow end, about 12 inches lower. Cross the wide end over the narrow end, creating an X at your throat. Now bring the wide end up through the loop around your neck from underneath and pull it back down. Wrap it around the narrow end from right to left. That's going around the back. Bring it up through the loop again from underneath. Now you've got a horizontal band across the front. Take the wide end and tuck it through that horizontal band down through the knot you're creating. Pull it tight, but not too tight. Adjust the knot up to your collar. The knot should be symmetrical, triangular, substantial. The wide end should hang down to your belt. The narrow end should be hidden behind the wide end. That's a Windsor knot. You practice that 50 times, 100 times, until your hands can do it without thinking. Because when you're nervous before an important interview, you don't want to be struggling with your tie. You want it to be automatic, smooth, one less thing to worry about. But here's what I really want you to understand, what I want you to carry with you. Mr. Cohen didn't have to help me. We were different in almost every way: religion, culture, background, race. In 1968 in the South, a Jewish immigrant and a black man had no reason to connect, to care about each other. But he'd experienced discrimination and persecution, and he recognized it in me. He'd been helped when he was struggling, and he chose to pass that help forward. And that one act of kindness, making a suit for a man who couldn't afford it, changed my entire life trajectory. I got the job because I was qualified, because I worked hard, because I knew my stuff. But would I have even gotten the interview if I'd shown up in ill-fitting clothes? Would they have taken me seriously? Maybe not. The suit gave me dignity. It gave me confidence. It gave me a fighting chance. And Mr. Cohen gave me the suit. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to remember this story. And I want you to watch for moments when you can help someone. Not in huge dramatic ways necessarily, but in simple, practical ways that make a real difference. When you see someone who needs a chance, who needs a hand up, who needs someone to see their humanity and their potential, you be that person for them. Even if they're different from you, especially if they're different from you. That's how kindness works. That's how we build bridges across our differences. That's how one person's pain, their survival, their experience becomes something that helps others. I kept that suit until 1983. 15 years of wearing it, caring for it, getting it tailored as my body changed slightly over time. When I finally retired it, I couldn't bring myself to throw it away. It meant too much. So I donated it to a program that provided professional clothes to men re-entering society after incarceration. Men who needed suits for job interviews. I included a note explaining its history, explaining what it had meant to me, hoping that maybe it would carry some of that meaning, some of that kindness forward to someone else who needed it. And over the years, I've tried to live the way Mr. Cohen asked me to. When young men in our neighborhood needed help getting ready for job interviews, I helped them. Taught them how to tie a tie, how to present themselves, sometimes helped them get clothes if they couldn't afford them. When I had my auto repair shop, I hired young men who needed a chance, who were trying to turn their lives around, who just needed someone to believe in them. I didn't do it for credit or recognition. I did it because Samuel Cohen had shown me that's what you're supposed to do. When you've been helped, you help others. When you've been shown kindness, you show kindness. When someone has seen your humanity, you see the humanity in others. That's the real lesson here, son. Not just how to tie a tie, though that's useful. The real lesson is about how we treat each other, about seeing people across their differences, about remembering that everyone is fighting battles we know nothing about, carrying burdens we can't see, and sometimes what seems like a small act of kindness to us, making a suit at cost, taking time to teach someone something, giving someone a chance, can change the entire direction of their life. You're getting ready to go out into the world. You're going to have opportunities to help people or to turn away from them. You're going to meet people who are different from you, different race, different religion, different background, different struggles. I want you to remember Mr. Cohen. I want you to remember that a Jewish immigrant who survived the Holocaust looked at a black man in the segregated South and saw a human being worth helping. I want you to remember that one custom-made suit in 1968 changed 3 generations of our family's trajectory. And I want you to carry that forward. When you see someone who needs help, help them. When you see someone who needs a chance, give them one. When you see someone struggling to maintain their dignity in a world that tries to strip it away, help them keep it. That's how we honor the people who helped us. That's how we honor Mr. Cohen's memory. That's how we build the kind of world we want to live in. Practice that Windsor knot. Get good at it. You're going to need it for job interviews, for important meetings, for moments when you need to present yourself well. But remember that the knot is just technique. What matters is what you do with the opportunities that come from presenting yourself well. What matters is the kindness you show to others. What matters is remembering that we're all connected, that we all need help sometimes, and that helping each other across our differences is what makes us human. Mr. Cohen taught me how to tie a tie, but more importantly, he taught me how to be a man, how to receive kindness with gratitude, how to pass kindness forward, how to see people as people regardless of their differences. That's what I'm teaching you today. The tie is just the beginning. God bless you, son. Now tie that knot one more time, so I know you've got it.